65. They returned to the jungle with another theme to meditate and take care of. A Gorolos was certainly a terrible dinosaur that perhaps were an acute accentee known in planet Earth, when the dinosaurs ruled the Earth ellipsis points, or maybe they did exist, among the horrible million species that during centuries were walking by the continents. Perhaps these Gorolos are the ancestor of those other scaled creature, the Saurian. Lem said. Certainly hideous creatures. At least I see you have a revolver now. Varina said. Yes, but I have only 2 bullets left. Lem commented. And I have 5. Odine shows. Well, guess a bullet between the eyes of a Gorolos will be enough to send him to hell. Lamia said, that abhor of those creatures. Odine waits a moment of solitude with Lem to ask, where is that hell Lamia just mentioned? It acute accent F beyond death. You die and become a soul, and if you have not have done harm to anyone, you go to a place of quietude and rest there, of course, as you will be like a living thought ellipsis points. But if you have behaved bad, doing evil things to others, you go to a place of darkness where there is a terrible heat and you will be bathed with flames for many centuries without escape. Terrible picture. She trembled. Ends in a lake of fire, where the soul will finally die, but that after so many years of pain that seems not important. Lem commented. Odine murmured, so I will be going to hell. I have killed so many animals in my life, no matter if it was for to eat. And she looks horrified. 66. But there is a solution. Lem said, seeing she was overscared. Yes, and which is it? Odine asked. God sent his firstborn to earth, saying he will pay for us all. Lem informed. And I am included in it? I am not from earth. She said. Well, the condemnation enters to earth humans through the first man created by God, Odine. Being descendants from him, we are all cursed. About you, I guess you are out of the equation. Your people ellipsis points, did they tell you about God? Lem asked. Not a word. Just to be careful of beasts and not to let them catch us unawares. Odine explained. So you are like Adam and his woman, Eve. No condemnation. Lem said, embracing her, that now seems more at ease ellipsis points. Lem takes some eggs for dinner and some small animals that he hit with his mace. Odine finds fruits, the rest also brought fruits and tubercles, that Odine said there were not edible. Lem realized that the race of Odine could not have an Adam and Eve, so she well could be without mortal sin ellipsis points. Then he asks her, did you know about your parents? Only about my mother. My father get lost, went out to hunt ellipsis points. Why do you ask? I wonder how many years your tribe was ellipsis points and its origin. Lem said. In our kind of life, nobody lives much longer. Else they get killed by carnivores or down in rivers, or just disappears. There were no old people in my tribe. Odine said. Sorry to hear that. Lem said. Don acute accent tub. Life here is cruel, and so, if you live but for a short time, you have not much to suffer ellipsis points. Pity we are here in the wilderness ellipsis points. I assume we will not last long. Odine remarked. Lem looks at her, realizing she was young and good looking, and even that, she was accepting the idea to die any minute with philosophy. He was now in front of a closed door because of the circumstances. He should be now at a big spaceship full of weapons and power ellipsis points, but that ship was certainly fused during the entrance into the atmosphere, or else, circling the star like a derelict ellipsis points, they walked into a site with many fruits, some of them not already ripened ellipsis points, green ellipsis points, and so they eat only from the seasoned ones, amid many insects. These pesky animals could provoke serious illnesses. Jolly Marnoth commented. Why do you say that? Apart from the swelling, it is not dangerous. Odine replied. They heard long dinosaur mating sounds, like organ music. These beasts must be huge. Great lungs in order to produce such sounds. Jolly Marnoth commented. They keep walking, and seeing a stony hill they climb and make a hut on top. They also lit a fire, and there were no dangerous beasts there, as the climbing was hard. Captáin said, seems that tomorrow will rain. Perhaps we will have some difficulties to get down this hill, Odine said, and because of her remarks, they only slept once in there, and at dawn they went down the hill, under the black clouds. Lem embraces her and Odine knew not how to be tender, so Lem was always stopping short by her hard stare ellipsis points under the ironic stares of those Orphean women ellipsis points. At mid-afternoon they find a lagoon, surrounded by a forest. Many animals were gathered at their banks, to fish or drink. Beautiful view. No carnivores in sight. Lem commented. They fished and obtained 2 brown fish, that Lem roasted with a fire made by Odine, that eats with reluctance, due to the fact Lem has told her about those biblical forbidding. Later, they make a shelter near a rock formation. Odine said, I have seen many colossuses around. We must have a fire for precaution. All night? Lem asked. Of course. We must have a big amount of branches to feed the fire, Odine replied. Lem worked on that, so in the night the bonfire was visible from afar. Animals maintained its distance, afraid to get burned. The women slept together, and Lem with Odine at the other side of the shack. They are afraid. How do you know it? Did some of them told you about? Lem asked. The 3 of them told me so. They said you are just running around ellipsis points that must be cities out there, and that you have no idea of where they are. Odine commented. Really? Well, ellipsis points, you know I am, as a castaway, just as they are. He said, not liking that theme. I am no castaway, but I just don't a cute accent know any city around here ellipsis points or elsewhere. Odine said, chuckling. Well, if there is a city somewhere, I guess I must know where it is ellipsis points. Let me see ellipsis points. The sea attracts human populace, good weather, air plenty, and fishing commerce. If they are capable of to make big boats ellipsis points. Odine, guess our way to the sea must be our main goal. Lem commented. The sea ellipsis points, lots of water. More than that, I don't a cute accent know. Odine said, smiling. Perhaps you will know the sea through me, Lem said, embracing her. At the next day, Lem observed the surroundings mounted on top of a big tree. From there he saw how the main star appears over the hills. He realizes his sight was not able to see the horizon, because the chain of mountains that coming from the north ends going to the south. He thought that probably some river could exist coming from those mountains, some of them with ice on their peaks. When he descended, Odine said, were you able to spot the sea? No. But I certainly guess we will search for it going alongside the mountains. We must find a river. Lem replied. 71. 3 days later, they saw a stream coming from the mountains and heading east. After bathing they fished and gets 3 long ones, measuring 50 centimeters each. Roasted, they ate and felt better. After a night near the stream, they followed the course of the waters and 2 kilometers away, they saw a river. Guess this river will take us directly to the sea. Lem applauded. Days later they were facing islands of vegetation stretching all the way to the horizon ellipsis points. This is as far as we can go. To keep on we should have a boat, Lem said, seated on the green grass. 20 meters away, dark blue waters were murmuring with the slow current. They stayed around, fishing. The fish here were huge, and they ate until recovering their usual weight. 6 months there, and springtime come, fruit appears on several trees. One night, when they were sleeping near the water, an horrible roar come from the direction of the forest. A huge dinosaur is coming. We are in the open, Lamia said, hiccuping with terror. Let a cute accent swim to the next stretch of dry land, Jolly said. They were at the verge of the water ellipsis points. The shadow of the monster appears, towering above them ellipsis points. They jumped to the water, and Odine didn't a cute accent know how to swim, and grabbed Lem for help. Stay calm. Move your legs up and down. We must get away from the dinosaur, Lem said, heaving her torso. Jolly come to help, and with the 2 of them began swimming in the dark, under the angry roars of the hungry beast. Half an hour later, they heard the others yelling in the distance. What are they saying? Lem asked. They found another herbal island, We must keep going," Jolly commanded, while helping Odine to swim. Lamia appears, saying, "I will help," and takes the place of Jolly, who was very tired. The three of them arrived to dry land, and rested on the turf. "What a swimming! I acute accent am exhausted. Lem, please teach her how to swim," Jolly asked. "Yes. Guess she is already learning," Lem said, and everybody chuckled. He walked around the vegetation, not to have more surprises. Ellipsis point. Seemingly there is no dinosaurs in here. The water makes them unable to reach this island, Lamia said. Lem had his doubts. The Spinosaurus aegypticus did know how to swim. In fact, he was a good fisher. All he desires now was the total absence of those monsters in that island. Sorry for them, fruits were very scarce. Only grapevines and small oranges grows there. 73. They stick to fishing. They get fat fishes every day, 3 at the most. Ellipsis points. Roasting and eating ensues. This routine ends 3 weeks later. Ellipsis points. In the meantime, Odine learns to swim. Ellipsis points. Boats, Lamia said, indicating 3 canoes coming from the east. In each canoe, 7 persons were seated, while 4 of them used the rowers. Don acute accent T panic. Don acute accent T run. Too late to run, Lem said, hailing those people with a hand. They disembark, tying the boat to some bushes. Lamia, Jolly, nice to see you, a woman said, approaching. Gofreda, what a surprise, Lamia said, astonished. The recently arrived woman looks at Lem and Odine, saying, Lem, what a coincidence. How do you get here? Swimming. A big dinosaur helps us to decide, Lem said, smiling, while realizing the Frida ex-cook was slim and good-looking. Obviously the hard life takes care of all the surplus of grease she was wearing in the past. Ellipsis points. Gofreda presents her companions, 20 escapees from the dungeons. The pirates were attacked by Starfleet. In the melee, we were able to escape in a motorboat due south. Halfway here, a storm sunflower motorboat, afraid to be recaptured, the males built 3 canoes. We find this floating vegetable islands, small but full of vegetation and some fruits. Gofreda explains. Lamia also told their adventures, and she said, oh, I was sure Adana was recaptured by the pirates. But now you tell me she decides to return to that hideous Perigornes. Well, I acute accent am spellbound. Hope she does not regret her choice, in the future. 74. The group starts a fire and share the fish they captured, while traveling over the water. They also erect some shacks in the middle of the island, to sleep. When at a hut, Odine said, I wonder, if you all belongs to your planet Earth. Yes, we belongs to Earth planet. Perhaps even you, he said, while embracing her. Me? But my skin is darker, Captáin mentioned. Well, in Earth there are white, yellow, brown, and black people. Also there are some variations, gray, pale green, and so, perhaps you also come from there. Lem commented. At the next day, only males went fishing with the boats, and women stayed at the island. They collect wood to make a fire, and later searches for edible fruits or plants. The males on the boats used spears to get fish, and also nets made of wood. They traveled around those islands looking for better spots. Ellipsis points. In one of them Colossuses were in abundance, while in others many small flying archaeopteryx, while in others the animal life was not visible. So we choose a Pacific spot, Watson commented. Lucky us. Of course, we could be luckier, if a Starfleet spaceship comes to our rescue, Lem said. Very difficult. They come to fight pirates. And we are like a pin in a haystack, Lopez said. You mean a needle in a haystack? Lem retorted. 75, whatever. At least we have some women here. By the way, where do you find yours? Seems she is not from Starfleet, Watson said. No. She was a member of a tribe that was massacred by a furious dinosaur. And as Lem explains. What a pity. And have you encountered more people in this forsaken land? Steve asked. None whatsoever. Seems we are alone here except the pirates. If Starfleet didn't acute accent kill every one of them. Lem said, and while asking for names, he realized they were all from the Americas, except perhaps Hideout. They returned to the island, where the females were awaiting. They cleaned the fishes with sharpened stones and roasted them on fire, while others make shacks for to sleep. They dined together, with everyone adding to the conversation. At midnight the last man kept on watch until dawn, fortunately without any threat to the group. At the next day, they went fishing and again the women stayed at the huts with Watson sleeping, as he has been on night watch. While gathering wood, many women were talking about their chosen mates. Odine learns that Watson was with Gofreda as her woman, Steve with a blonde woman called Kate, Saúl with Varina, Marty with Josefina, Erasmus with Maria and Hideout with Isolda. Lamia chooses nobody and the rest of the men was not able to mate, because there were no more women at the group. The men repaired the hut, making it bigger and stronger. They get accustomed to be in just one room, forgetting social conventions. Certainly snoring were heard and some other noises, but that unites them as a whole. 4 months living in peace have its benefits. Women weave clothes and men makes a raft, so they could spend hours fishing in front of the island instead of traveling far in the canoes. Lem was almost forgotten of spaceships, but when a scout ship descended on the island, he remembers the society that raises him. Men in red uniforms appears, asking questions. Lem and others also have their own questions. The commander of that half-sized craft, Gorolos, said, "We come from New Russia. We landed not 500 kilometers from here, as we will develop a colony." "And the pirates points, do you wipe them off?" Watson asked. The slanted eyes of Commander Gorolos looked on him with suspicion and said, "Your Starfleet makes them scram. But of course, their city still is inhabited points with no spaceships, they are simple townsfolk." The women instantly asked to join the Russians, so the males followed. Lem was dubious. Russian psychology was different, but he was not going to live like Robinson Crusoe on that tiny island of verdure with Odine, the female version of Birengt Gorolos said, in a cute accent as an act of humane charity. "We cannot leave you in a land full of saurian beasts 20 meters high. Come on board." The trip was very short, due to the velocity of the craft, and they landed on an island 600 kilometers long. The city port have several ships near the pier, and the streets of the city radiated from a square to the 4th points of the compass. 177, New Russia City. The castaways were located at 3 large rooms. Gorolos said, "This will be your dormitories, while we decided what to do with you." "And which are our options?" Watson asked. "Depends of your skills. As I assume everybody knows something useful. Or you will be not here." Idor said. The women discovered provided baths, so they immediately went to the showers, to clean their bodies. Males also take showers, using soap. They reunited in one of those rooms. "We are in need of new clothes. But we are on a secluded place," Gofreda mentioned. "We will wait, until Idor appears again. Then I will ask for it," Lem said. But there was no need to ask for it. 2 guards brought green overalls and sandals for everyone. The old clothes went to a basket and into the incinerator. 77. Later, guards brought food, clean dishes, sparkling table service, salads, meat and potatoes with boiled eggs. That night they slept in absolute silence. That was a forgotten luxury for them all. Idor appeared at mid-morning, saying, "I see you need an hairdresser. And you, men, an haircut. I will guide to a barber. Tomorrow you will be debriefed, to know, where you could serve our community." Lem and others talked about it, and Watson said, "The Russian Federation could be happy to know secrets from Starfleet. Perhaps we should minimize what we could display." So, in that day women ended up using hairdo, and men with short haircuts that makes them resemble soldiers. At the next day they were guided to the city, and in several offices they interrogate them separately, and to their surprise, the interrogation did not press in any way. If they saw there was not much knowledge on their part, it was accepted as true. A week later, the women were located at a factory and the men to clean offices. They paid no attention to our affidavits. It acute accent S clear that they don't acute accent T trust us. Watson commented, when back at their dormitories. The men also complained they were not happy working, as common employees ellipsis point certainly we are better here, than in that shack in the middle of nowhere. Lem indicates, to placate the numerous complaints. Yes, but we could do better. Lamia said. Odine was happy, as it were, clean clothes, fine shoes, a work without danger, and respect. Also, they were able to keep on living as before, with their men at their quarters. This situation lasted 1 full year. Then, Lem talks with Idor Jorabalvo, saying, we are grateful. You men takes us away from the dangers of the jungle. We, in payment for that, have worked steadily for your community without reserves and without any payment. But in acute accent S about time you release us, we want to return to Starfleet and to our people. Idor said, I understand. I thought you were happy with us here. About payment, I don't acute accent T know it, but nobody receives salaries in here. We are an outpost, a young colony. 78. Something I have heard about this. But I beg of you to try to communicate with Starfleet and see we could depart with them. Lem asked. I will see what I can do, for you. Just have some more patience. Idor said. So, Lem waited and as he and the rest. With the passing of months, Idor only said that negotiations were initiated and that patience was required. 8 months later, the group was now decided to make harsh moves ellipsis point we should rob a spaceship and try to fly home. I know it sounds difficult. Lem said. We are far from our boundaries. All we could do is to radiate some kind of signal towards Starfleet conundrum ellipsis points telling where we are and what we want. Gofreda said. Radio signals? The Russians will detect it. Jolly said. Radio transmitters are available here ellipsis points we could send messages out of town, and for short periods of time. Lem said. As there was no way they could ask for a radio transmitter, they stole one and that's ancient and in disuse. They repaired it and insert some new devices to make it better, and traveling to the outskirts of town, they were sending messages during 3 weeks. After that time, they receive a message, to identify themselves and to talk some more. Lem replied, we are castaways and at the present moment on Russian hands. We need to contact you. We will be present near the airfield tomorrow at midnight. We will set a fire so you could pinpoint us. 79. Lamia, after the message was sent, said, hope you have a leeway. Who knows, if a Russian is the one replying you. I know the risks. That acute accent S, why I will be there alone. Lem indicates. And at the next day he was ambling near the airport, that had scant lights on, as the aerial traffic was made by day, and it was scarce. Lem set a fire with some branches, and a tin can with water boiling in case some Russian asks what was done there in the middle of the night. Lem saw a shadow approaching and suddenly a man was in front of him. Hi, stranger. Lem said, with a strong pumping heartbeat. Hi. Making coffee? Yes, I am one of the remaining crewmen from the defeated first attack from the Starfleet against the pirates. Lem confided. The man, who was using a common overcoat everyone uses at the city, said, well, I heard your radio call. So you need to contact Starfleet ellipsis point what for? As I already said in that radio message, we need to return to our own society. We want to return, where we belong. Lem said. Earth. Exactly. We are men and women from Starfleet. Lem assured him. I am one of only 3 persons from Starfleet here, and in disguise. The man said. So you can do something for us. Lem said. Yes, but without much assurance I can't send the message and it acute accent S up to headquarters to accept the request or not. The man said. 82, Lem said, sent the message. Russians are an acute accent as bad as they told us, but we have a life at Starfleet. Wages, missions, vacations, and we have our relatives in waiting. The spy stared at him and then said, I will do what I can. No promises. Of course. How do you want to call you? Call me Ike. And how I contact you? Don't acute accent use a phone, nor the radio just went to your place. I will contact you when news arrives. And Ike went away. Lem returns to his cabin and the rest of the team learns from him later. Jolly said, so an acute accent as a guy playing the spies. Guess she not even calls Ike. Who cares? The message will be sent. We had to wait. Lem said. I don't trust him. Lamia said, rubbing her thigh. All right, just stay alert, the old plan keeps on. Lem said, thinking in a spaceship. 4 days later, Ike approaches Lem when at work, saying, take the rest, where we meet the other day, 22 hours sharp. And went away. Lem felt his heart pumping hard. A fast response wasn't in his expectations. At lunch hour, he told everyone about the meeting. Even Lamia called. Odine said, this is incredible. But I am no Starfleet officer. Don't acute accent matter. You come with me. Lem said. When the shift was over, they returned to their cabins and Jolly Marnoth said, can we carry a bag? I have some things I would like to carry. Of course. We will see, if the acute accent is permitted. Lem said, thinking in a couple of things that he would like to carry. At 22 hours they were at the spot and waiting. Ike appears at a trot, saying, all right. Nobody is missing. We are all here. Lem replied. Good. Just follow me. Ike said, and began to walk. He guided them to a small building and after opening a door with his key, they entered. 83, it was a damp place. In the middle of the room was a machine with a door. A man was seated in front of a desk with lights and controls buzzing. This is Al. He will send you to the orbit. Ike said, pointing to that man. Al stands up and opens a door into the machine, saying, very well, folks. One at a time. This machine can't send one person only. Lem walks into the chamber. Al closed the door, a buzzing sound that lasted 5 seconds, and the door opens. A man at the other side of the door said, hurry. Get out of there. Others are waiting. And he was using the orange overall of the technicians in Starfleet. As in the middle of a dream, Lem walks out and looks around. It was a metallic-looking chamber. Where am I? And as he asked to that crewman, who was shutting the door. 84, Scout Ship AR-32. We must collect your companions first. Then we could talk. The man said in earnest. Lem was guided to a corridor with some chairs. Another officer told him to wait there. One by one his companions were joining him, even Odine, who was very quiet. And what now? Lamia asked. They told me to wait for more questions we could want to ask. Lem explained, and seconds later, 2 officers appears, saying, we are in due course to our mothership, Cruiser Birengt 21. You will be carried there, in your way to Earth. Any question? I am a Starfleet officer. I expect to be paid for all the time I was in Planet Pirate. Jolly demanded. Sorry, I am just carrying you to Cruiser Birengt 21. To exert your rights you acute accent LL have to wait until in front of the proper authorities. That officer said. 20 minutes later they heard a metallic noise, and soon afterwards the officer said, follow me. They walked by a pneumatic and enters on the mothership. There the air was different, fresher, with a tint of flowers. They were ushered before a fat man in a uniform with many a bar of different colors, denoting their long and fruitful career. The man waits until everyone was facing him and said, welcome aboard Birengt 21. I am Commander Jackson Worthless. You come here from planet Gemini D-3, where you were astray for certain years. Luckily we could rescue you alive and well. You will be debriefed, classified and listen to whatever requisition you may want to express. And he looks on Odine. Lem said, "Pardon me, Commander. I wish to say a few words." 85. Go ahead. I am Lem Devianco, flight assistant of the now non-existent cargo ship AL-403. My companion and I descended in a safe boat to the surface of Planet 3 from Gemini B, and we survive eating fruits from the land, and also we hunt animals for the same purpose. This woman, Odine, helps you when in need. She belonged to a small native tribe, now wiped out of existence because of the dinosaurs. I ask you to give her the same considerations of a member of our society. Don't acute accent to worry about that, crewman Devianco. After the debriefing we will talk again on these matters. For now, you will get cabins, showers, and meals. Commander Johnson indicates. Some officers shows them cabins where to rest and where take showers. Well, these rooms are wider and more comfortable than at the Russian building. Lem commented. And we will rest without apprehensions. Lamia said with a broad smile. They bathed and find uniforms at the lockers, also sandals. They were commenting about the color light gray, when a crewman appeared saying that the dinner was served. They followed him and at a mess hall they saw Commander Jackson and others seated at different tables, with dishes full of food. Also there was drink and glasses made of plastic materials. The light was provided by wide lamps on the ceiling. Nice. Let's eat. Lem said, but there was only one kind of food for everyone alike. A porridge with groceries and meat. The drinks were of different flavors, although Lem and others resent it as too sweet. Too sweet for my taste. I prefer tap water. Odine said to Lem, who asks for simple water, and they brought a bottle with that kind of liquid. Lem also finds meat of poor quality, but said nothing. After dinner, the commander went out of the saloon and the level of conversation increased. And as a crewman approaches, saying, "Hey, guys. Want some liquor?" "Yes, but we are out of money right now," Lem said. The crewman clicked his tongue and said, "No matter that now, mate. You are recently coming, but no doubt you will get some cash afterwards. What acute accent is your favorite poison?" "Whiskey, if you have some," Lem said. "No problem. Be right away." Empty your glasses of that stupid juice. That didn't acute accent tea deserves to be mixed with nice strong whiskey," the man said, and departed out the room. "What a thing. Bootlegged whiskey." Lem smiled. "Like vodka?" Odine asked, having known of that Russian liquor on the planet. "Better," Lem replied. The crewman returned and said, "Here is a bottle, $50 worth. You will pay when possible." "Thanks, pal. You are overly generous," Lem said, taking the bottle and giving some of it to the ones at his group that asks for it. Odine refuses. 87. At the next day they were busy telling the interviewers everything they did at the planet of the pirates and of course, they affidavit or personal status on Starfleet. Odine also speak of herself and her older life in the jungle. They take samples of their DNA for further studies. Up until now, no humans were found at the galaxy, if not of Earth. A week later, Commander Jackson told them, "All your affidavits corresponds to Starfleet database. Our visitor Miss Odine is also from Earth, Asian stock. How her group arrives here, is unknown at the present." Odine smiled. She was not worried about that. For her, sentient life has no birthplace. You will be sent to Earth. Your future will be decided there, Commander Jackson said. Chapter 6, at the compound.